Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between two towering mountains, there stood a majestic willow tree in the center of a lush meadow. The villagers called it the Whispering Willow, for its leaves rustled softly even when the wind was still. It was said that the tree held ancient magic and could communicate with those pure of heart. The villagers loved the tree, and many would come to sit beneath its shade, sharing their hopes and dreams with it. The tree would listen, and its leaves would rustle, offering comfort to those in need. In this village lived a kind-hearted girl named Lila. Lila was known for her bright spirit and gentle nature. She often spent her days helping others, whether it was mending clothes, tending to the sick, or simply offering a kind word. But despite her cheerful demeanor, Lila carried a deep sadness within her. Lila's parents had passed away when she was very young, leaving her to live with her stern aunt, who never showed her much affection. Though the villagers cared for Lila, she often felt alone, yearning for a family who truly loved her. One evening, as the sun dipped below the mountains, casting a golden glow over the meadow, Lila went to the Whispering Willow. She sat beneath its branches and closed her eyes, whispering her wish into the wind. "I wish for a family," she said softly. "A family who will love me and cherish me for who I am." The leaves of the willow rustled gently, as if the tree was listening to her heartfelt wish. Lila stayed under the tree until the stars twinkled above, then slowly made her way back to her aunt's house. The mysterious visitor. The next morning, as Lila was fetching water from the village well, a stranger arrived in the village. He was an old man with a long, silver beard and eyes that sparkled with wisdom. The villagers gathered around, curious about the stranger who had come to their remote village. The old man introduced himself as Merwin, a traveling storyteller. He told the villagers that he had wandered far and wide, collecting tales from across the land, and he had come to share them with those who would listen. The villagers were delighted and invited Merwin to stay in the village. That evening, they gathered around a large fire, eager to hear his stories. Lila, too, joined the crowd, sitting quietly at the edge, her eyes wide with anticipation. Merwin began his tale, weaving a story of bravery and love, of ancient magic and forgotten lands. The villagers were spellbound by his words, but Lila felt something different. As Merwin spoke, she felt a warmth spreading through her heart, a sense of familiarity and comfort, as if the story was meant just for her. When the story ended, the villagers applauded, and Merwin promised to share another tale the next evening. But before the crowd dispersed, he looked directly at Lila and smiled. "Young one," he said, his voice gentle, "you have a special heart. Meet me at the Whispering Willow tomorrow, and I will tell you a story unlike any other." Lila was surprised but nodded shyly. The next day, as the sun began to set, she made her way to the meadow, where the old storyteller was waiting beneath the willow tree. The tale of the lost king. Merwin invited Lila to sit beside him, and he began to speak in a low, soothing voice. Long ago, in a kingdom far from here, there was a mighty king who ruled with wisdom and kindness. His people adored him, for he was a just ruler who cared deeply for his subjects. But one day, a great darkness fell over the land. A terrible curse was cast upon the king, and he was transformed into a tree, a willow tree, to be precise. The king's heart was pure, and the curse could not fully take hold, so his spirit remained within the tree, waiting for someone with a kind and loving heart to free him. Lila listened intently, her eyes wide with wonder. Merwin continued, "The legend says that the one who can release the king from his curse must possess a heart full of love, even in the face of loneliness and sorrow. They must ask the tree a question from their heart. And if the tree responds, the curse will be broken." Lila felt her heart race. "But how will I know what to ask?" she whispered. Merwin smiled. "Your heart will know, young one. Trust in yourself, and the answer will come." With that, Merwin stood up and placed a small, ornate key in Lila's hand. "This key," he said, "is the key to your destiny. Keep it close, and when the time is right, you will know what to do." Lila thanked Merwin, though she was still unsure of what it all meant. As she walked back to the village, she couldn't help but feel a sense of hope stirring within her. The test of the heart. The days passed, and Lila kept the key with her at all times, waiting for a sign. Then, one morning, she noticed something strange. The leaves of the whispering willow were turning a deep shade of gold, even though it was the middle of summer. Curious and a little anxious, Lila went to the tree. As she approached, the leaves began to rustle more loudly, as if the tree was trying to communicate with her. Lila took a deep breath and placed her hand on the trunk of the tree. "What do I need to do to break the curse?" she asked, her voice trembling. For a moment, there was silence. Then, a gentle breeze blew through the meadow, and the tree's leaves rustled softly. In the sound, Lila thought she could hear a whisper, but it was faint, almost like a memory. "Love," the whisper seemed to say. "Only love can break the curse." Lila's heart swelled with emotion. She realized that the answer had been within her all along. The key was not to unlock something outside of herself, but to unlock the love she held within her heart. With tears in her eyes, Lila whispered to the tree, "I love you, dear king. I love you for the kindness you have shown your people, for the wisdom you have shared, and for the hope you have given me." As she spoke, the golden leaves of the tree began to glow with a soft, warm light. The light grew brighter and brighter until it enveloped the entire tree. Lila shielded her eyes. And when she looked again, the tree was gone. In its place stood a man, a king, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. "Thank you," the king said, his voice full of gratitude. "You have freed me from my curse, and in doing so, you have found the family you have always longed for." Lila stared at the king in disbelief. "But, how?" The king smiled warmly. "Your love has broken the curse, and in return, I will adopt you as my daughter. You will never be alone again, for you are now a princess, with a family that will cherish you forever." Lila's heart leaped with joy. The villagers, who had been watching from afar, rushed forward to celebrate the return of their king and the newfound happiness of Lila. The king kept his promise, and Lila became the beloved princess of the kingdom, loved by all. The whispering willow was never forgotten, and it was said that its spirit lived on in the hearts of those who believed in the power of love. And so, Lila found her true family and lived a life full of love and happiness. Surrounded by the people who cherished her, just as she had always wished. The end.